Does personal activism count? I'm here with Hardy Haberman, and I'm Kathy Bertilli from the intimacydojo.com, and Hardy is a member of Woodhull Sexual Freedom Summit and co-chair of the board. And Hardy, if we do personal activism, if we're not part of a big group and organized to do this, does it really count? Is it making a difference?
You know, a lot of people ask me, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
And I say, look in your local area.
Yeah.
Find a cause that advances sexual freedom and participate.
Yeah.
And it can be as simple as going before a city council protesting an ordinance, or going to your local representatives and meeting with them and letting them know that you're a sexual minority.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know that.
Yeah.
They're your elected officials. They're obligated to meet.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Actually, I should know that.
They pretty much will.
Yeah.
And, unless you make yourself obnoxious and everything.
Yeah.
Those little meetings are that you know, the metaphor of the ripple in the pond, there, that simile. It's like drop of water makes that ripple in the pond, and those ripples are making noise.
Yeah.
And if they take place, we get ignored. And I think we have to individually, each one of us has to be that. It's. I think people underestimate how much effect they can actually. And because of that, they feel disempowered and they feel like I can't do anything. But when you look at all the great groups that have come from activism, they all started with one or two people, and that is really important.
I love that, because you don't have to be part of you can join an organized group if you want, but you can just speaking up. And a lot of times I do that, like in small groups. I don't even meet with representatives, but I'll be at work and someone will say something at lunch and I'm like, actually you may not know that, but that's actually considered offensive to say that way, and try to gently try to be that ripple even in the local areas, speaking up. And I think one of the reasons I think gay marriage passed, and I've heard a lot of people say this, is it passed so quickly because everybody now knew people that were gay and they weren't scary. And it became like, why can't they get married?
Well, it's hard to discriminate against people who know.
Yes.
And as long as we're invisible, from the gay, from the LGBT movements, our invisibility made it easy for us to be ignored. And when we came out, began marching, we became visible, and the next thing you know, oh wow, I've got an uncle who's gay, and I've got an aunt who's a lesbian, and I've got friends who are transgender, and I didn't know that. All of a sudden, it's personal.
Yes.
And everything is personal. They say in politics, everything's local. Well, in activism, everything's personal. And just talking to your family, talking to friends, like you said, somebody says something offensive, don't just nod.
Or laugh.
Tell them. It's a teaching moment,
Yeah.
And you don't have to be pedantic about it.
Yeah.
You can just say, wow, that kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how receptive people be to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially, I prefer the gently calling in until they've proven that they need to be called out. But
exactly. Yeah. I want to say it's Andy who talks about we need a call-in culture, not a call-out culture.
Yeah, well, yelling at someone, you're a bad person and you said that wrong, you're not likely to win them to your side. They're probably going to be more defensive in the long run. So,
right.
Yeah.
The communication model is really important, and people don't active listen. And active listening is so important.
Yeah.
And reflecting when you hear somebody say something, reflecting back to them how you heard it.
Yes.
And how they feel is so important. I'm a member of the leather community, and in BDSM and in leather, communication is what it's about.
Yeah, because the stakes are very high and immediate.
Yeah, it's a very high level of communication when you're having encounters, and the reason is because it's something that could be potentially dangerous or it could be very serious or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have this emotional and physical landmine field that you're going through, and so you need to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from that, and it's helped me just in interpersonal relationships.
Yeah. No, I can absolutely see that. And yeah, just when we work on ourselves and learn, try to be as aware as we can and share that outward. That's a big, that can be a ripple in a pond that's very sustainable. I do see some people like, I'm like, wow, I don't know if they can keep that up. Like self care is so important to me around activism because we need long term, it's so easy to get so passionate about it that we forget to rest or take care of ourselves because the harm being done to people is so bad. So, so how did you get you've been a member of, you've been part of Woodhull for, you said 10 or more years. Yeah. How did you get pulled into this and why, what was your passion about it? How did they rope you in?
Ricky, it all comes down to Ricky.
Ricky's amazing.
You know, when I heard Ricky speaking, what I heard was proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
And there were lots of organizations that were doing reactive stuff. But what she was doing was proactive. And what Woodhull was starting to do was proactive. And I thought, that's what I like. I like something that goes to the biggest thing that drew me into it.
Yeah.
And I guess she sensed that, and she invited me to just kind of a workshop that we had in Washington D.C. one weekend, and out of that came all kinds of stuff. And I said, why don't we have a sexual freedom day on Victoria Woodhull's birthday?
Oh wow.
And everybody went, wow, that's a really good idea. And the next year we had Sexual Freedom Day. And after that we had the Sexual Freedom. And so that grew out of just little ideas. But the fact that just a little bit, just one little idea can spark something that grows into something really important.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea that I could make a difference. And it wasn't an organization that was too mired in movement speak and movement politics that never got anything done.
Yeah, I really like, it's very agile. Like when I spoke to Ricky about it'd be fun to interview some of the speakers to try to help get more information out there. And the next week we were starting it. It just is very exciting and fun.
Well, that being agile, I think is again, that's down to that personal level again. Try to, not waiting for a big ponderous, organization to try and make something new. It's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go, dude. And I love that. For me, you were talking about personal activism, and I think that it's hard to be a personal activist all alone. Like I lived in Dallas for a long time, and it's definitely, there's more community there now. I think when I was there wasn't a lot outside the leather scene, and I'm not particularly kinky, so it was like I felt very alone. And I think that can be really hard on people to feel so alone when they're trying to make a difference. And at Woodhull, I can go and gather with all these people that are doing such amazing things, and I get great ideas, and I get inspired and recharged, and I can wow, that didn't work, and we can all share. I just think it's such a beautiful place for people to gather and share the best practices and what worked and what didn't work.
That's that was the whole point of the summit. It's not so much a passive sit there and get information.
Well, you definitely can do that, but it's
right. Yeah, but I mean, the idea was to make it sort of I don't know, sort of an incubator for activists. And everybody I know who's attended the summit, they've done it once, first time, they come out of it with energy.
Yeah.
And they come out of it with this wanting to do more and wanting to get involved. And I think that's the secret. And you can find lots and lots of ways to do that. Now, it's not like you come there and give you a long list. You can do this and this and this and this. But if you've got any imagination at all,
yeah. No, you definitely can. You can come out with all kinds of ideas, and one of the things I love is the networking. So I've gone, I think this is my 7th year at Woodhull, going to Woodhull, and I've spoken a bunch of times, and just the people I can call up now or just, drop an email like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Have you done this? Have you, what worked for you? Or, hey, I'm just having a bad day. It was amazing because I'm very shy. And I was afraid that no one would talk to me or include me. And Woodhull is so welcoming. It's like whether you're, like you said, you're like quietly making little ripples in your pond, or you're out there making speeches on the White House lawn, it feels very like we need all of you. You're all welcome.
Yeah, the other thing it does, it gives you a chance to, like you said, meet people you never expected. Some heavy hitters as far as activism.
Yes.
And heavy hitters as far as on the world stage as far as sexual freedom. And you get to talk to them on a one-to-one basis in most cases. Mm-hmm. And that is part of what the inspiration, I think, is about. Is that getting a chance to find out, okay, these people are out there doing this stuff, and you talk to them, they're just, they're doing their thing. They're out there trying to make a difference, and most of them are more than willing to talk to you, to share ideas, to help. Yeah. And in some cases, to come into your community with you. We have a lot of people that have, after the fact, said, yeah, well, I ended up meeting with so and so, and we went to their event, and it's just a great way to share ideas and share knowledge.
Yeah, and I've also met people. It's funny, I've flown across the country and met people that were in my own community that I wasn't aware of, that were great people to connect with.
Right. Fly 2,000 miles away and meet with somebody.
Yeah, but you're like, oh, you live 10 miles from me. We need to get together. So it's kind of nice, and I think our brains take that seriously when someone's willing to fly and make that commitment. So when you think of Woodhull and where you want to go, like, what are some of your dreams and aspirations?
We have a lot of things on the border. One of the greatest things, I think, is I would like to see our organization make a national difference for America, to where it's okay for Americans to talk about sex in terms other than adolescent.
Down there.
Yeah. We have inability in this country to talk rationally and adultly about sex. And if we can't do that, then we will continuously make sex that stuff we just kind of laugh about and put aside.
Well, there is a fear about it. It's like when I first worked with a dating and sex coach, because I had a sexual abuse, a lot of fear, I kept saying down there. And he was like, use the word, Kathy. It's not, I'm like, and he's like, it's not Voldemort. Just, it's a vagina, it's a vulva. It's okay to say the words. And I was like, there's a lot of power in being able to name our body parts and name our pleasure.
Right. And the other thing I think would be great is I would love to see real comprehensive sex education in this country, because it'll bring a whole new generation of adults into being that will have healthier lives. It's not like we're out there trying to spread any particular agenda other than let's be honest about this, and let's be able to talk about it, and let's understand that sexual freedom is going to mean different things to different people. Yes. That's okay. But the idea that anybody tries to control somebody else's speech or their sexual behavior, as long as it's consensual, it's adult, and there's no, why on earth would you do that other than power? And we need to separate that. We need to take, if we all spoke about sex as adults, mm-hmm. the power that our politicians and pundits have by shaming us with sex, by frightening us with sex, will be gone.
Right.
They find something else.
Well, and humans have been shamed about sex for thousands of years because it's a good way to control us. It's something that's innate to us, whether we're asexual or a slutty, if for people that claim that. It's just, if you shame something that we're innately, like if we could shame breathing, that would be, kind of useful too, because then we can control people, but not in a powerful way. It's just control.
Right.
And it's...
But control is a drug.
Yeah.
It's a drug. And the sad thing is you see it, in the national stage, you see it reflected every day.
Yeah. Our vice president, our president.
As the man in the White House could suck all the air out of the conversation because it's me, and he uses fear and lies. And I think those are the things we can combat. And though it's a small way, taking one of the tools out of the arsenal, in other words, the fear about sex, and we can take that out of the arsenal, boy, would that really change the conversation.
Oh, it'd be so powerful. Yeah. I think it's so surprising to me that we have, like, most high school students are required to take 6 weeks or 6 months of driver's ed, and yet I get email all the time. I do coaching around intimacy. I get email all the time like my partner doesn't even know how to touch me. Like, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 90. I don't know how to have an orgasm, and we're like, why don't we teach people how to drive their bodies and use their bodies in ways that add pleasure and aliveness?
Oh, right, and the demonization of pleasure. We make pleasure this bad thing. I don't know why. There's no reason whatsoever to make it a bad thing.
I guess maybe the Puritans. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well, I do a lot of work in the church, and one of the things is my church is very sex positive.
uh-huh.
That's one of the best things about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I think that is a good place to start. Talk about little things people can do.
Yeah.
Take their sexuality to church.
Yeah.
See how the church reacts. And if your church reacts badly, you need to find a different church.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, because as long as we allow that shame to be given to us over and over again, and it's really hard. Some people aren't in a position they can say no, but those of us who can, then we're paving the way for other people. Just like gay marriage finally getting passed and hopefully staying. Yeah.
That the same-sex marriage. I find it, this probably wanted it out, which is fine. I find it unfortunate that became the issue. The issue should have been equality.
Yeah.
And non-discrimination. Mm-hmm. And then you have that, But that came about because that whole Hawaii business, where Hawaii tried to legalize same-sex marriage way back, and all of a sudden everybody who's conservative said, "Oh boy, this will be a great thing to scare people with." Booga booga booga.
Yeah.
And
they're going to marry ducks next.
When you think about marriage, what do you think about? Honeymoon, and what happens on the honeymoon? Ooh, that nasty stuff. Ooh, gay stuff. Ooh, even worse. And so it was a natural for the right, because it scares people, had to go independent.
Yeah.
Luckily, have spent way too much time and money on it, and being diverted from, as an LGBTQ activist, my primary concern is equality. And I don't like being diverted from equality for that one.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, we haven't even been able to pass the Equal Rights Amendment for women, so.
I know.
After how many?
Well, that's off the table because the time passed.
Yes.
It needs to be brought up again.
Yeah.
And it's to me it just seems crazy that was ever.
Yeah. No, I
think
think
it has to do with one thing.
Yeah, it does. It's like, let's just make humans equal and treat them like humans. So, I really do appreciate all the work you and Woodhull do there. It's just, I'm always touched and inspired and recharged. If people, if you're listening to this and you're interested, you can still time to get your tickets and show up and meet Hardy and myself and all the amazing people there. It's August 4th through 6th in Baltimore. Not Baltimore. Alexandria. Sorry, Alexandria.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'm flying into Baltimore. That's what it is. Yeah. So, Hardy, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Great. Glad to be here. See you in D.C.
Yeah.